Hey everyone, welcome back to Open. We welcome now the writer and director of My Friend the Tree, a musical family play that tells the heartwarming story of Millie, a runaway teenager who finds herself lost in a forest and befriends a wise tree. Millie learns the importance of listening to nature, dancing, and returning to one's roots with rhythms inspired by Colombian cumbia. My Friend the Tree emphasizes the themes of cultural awareness and environmental preservation. And joining us now to share more is My Friend the Tree's writer and director, Gloria Zelaya. Hello and welcome, Gloria.
Great to see you. Thank you for having me.
Hi, Gloria. You know, what I didn't mention is that you were my director.
That's right.
Very many moons ago.
Positive Women.
Yeah, in a show called Positive Women, because you also direct and write and produce social conscious theater, right? And this particular story of befriending a tree is it's so on time. So let's just share a little bit of your background, and I want to see the why it's so important for you to insert like calls to action within your storytelling, right? Because even though it's there to entertain and to stimulate the mind, underlying there's a call to action in the way you write.
Yes. In this particular play, I was inspired by a book called The Secret Life of Trees. And I started reading and I started fascinated by it, because sometimes we pass by a tree and we ignore it. The energy, the healing, energy of trees. So that was the genesis of the play. And I started researching more and more, and I said, oh my God, you have to be a tree hugger because they give you so much energy and they take the stress out of you. And that's what the beginning of the play. And then I started developing, and having, two young actresses in the play. One is 19, which is the runaway actress, Let Sosa, and then a 10 years old, actress, very talented, Abigail Flores, they are both singer-writers and actors. Right. So, and I thought it was very good to also reach young people, with the message, because the young people are very important. I always have worked and taught, acting to young people. So I thought the story is appealing to the whole family. And we had, when we did the performance before in December, we have, audience from 5 years old to 80 years old. So it's a long scope. And that we have very interactive, activities for young people in the beginning. We had the play, and then we have a panel discussion. And this time we're going to also have an interlude, musical interlude before the play begins, because this is part of the Carnegie Hall Festival.
Oh, congratulations on that.
Thank you, Nuestros Sonidos. Yeah, so that's what we're adding even more music. Yeah, in the play. So actually, we have a composer, Jacob Garces, that is the musical director, and the finale is composed by Sofia Angelica. Yeah. So, and we have cumbia, of course, to lift the spirits.
And you're so wonderful. I mean, you can tell it is directora, because we had to make sure we mention everybody who's part of the production, and because it takes a village, right, to put up a show. But I do also want to share, I'm a tree hugger. So I understand the value and the medicine that you receive when you hug trees, and the fact that it is a living element, right? And we, in essence, coexist alongside them, and they are connected to the earth. And
they're intertwined with each other.
Right, and they're intertwined with each other. They communicate with each other.
It's a network, if you call it a network.
A network. Yeah. That's fascinating.
It's fascinating, and we just pass by and we don't acknowledge. So the message, the place to acknowledge that energy, which I say is played by the Vincent Bigal, a wonderful actor who's playing the tree.
Right, who's playing the tree, right? Right? He was wonderful. So I also want to mention to our viewers that I did see My Friend the Tree when you first put it up, and I'm so happy that it's now going to have a life. It's taken on a life of its own. I think it's a very important message on a personal note. I was very moved by the storytelling. I feel that the trees were my saviors throughout the pandemic. That is where I found my. That's where I found solace, and they were my salvation because the one thing that I could hug during the pandemic was trees.
Yeah, and I have a tree in my backyard that I always hug, and that helped me too through the pandemic.
And so there's a relationship that's been formed for me with the trees, and I'm just sharing this so that our viewers understand the story that you've chosen to birth in helping all of us understand that we live here, we coexist, and when you're in the urban environment, there's this tendency to just disregard, and because we're just moving so fast, and your story teaches us to pause.
Right, to take a moment to breathe, right?
Yes.
To breathe and acknowledge.
And we need them for that too.
And that's right, they provide oxygen.
Right.
And they provide rain.
Yes.
For us.
Yeah. Right. And so.
And they provide food.
Right. Right. God, keep going. Right.
And that we talk about that in the play also as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Look at all of the value they come with, and the actor that you have playing the tree, he's very, very. It's a very sentimental play. I loved it so much. I loved it so much. I'm so happy to bring it here on our show to share it with our viewers. It is intergenerational as well. However, I want to say this is really geared towards the next generation so that they understand the value of coexisting, and so that we can start opening up that consciousness.
I totally agree with you. That's the reason behind the production, and I had a wonderful team, and we think about continuing with the play, maybe taking it a tour, and after the performance.
Right,
because he has a life of his own.
I saw some images of you at schools. So do you have arrangements with schools in which you're presenting it?
The company also teaches, theater, screenwriting, and we have worked in schools. We collaborate with a school in Queens that we have, teaching artists that go to Queens to the international high school. A lot of immigrants, and we collaborate with them, and they came to see the play, and they loved it. They're English learners, but they had a good experience.
Right, and the play is in English, and the company that you're referencing is Felt, which is fantastic experimental Latino theater, just for clarity purposes. And I do want to shout out Minta Vida, who is one of your producers, because I know she works very hard and she believes in this project a lot, and that's why you're here, right?
That's right, that's exactly she.
Yeah, but most importantly, it's like we're a community, just really trying to enhance our experience, our collective experience.
And it's a community, we build a community, and Mirta has been wonderful support as well for the production.
And so, but let's going back to the show itself. When you say immigrants, right? I get touched because the play is written in English, and yet you're still offering it to perhaps English learning classes. And yet there's also this connection to nature that I would say somebody who has lived in those environments understands that the value of that even more. Trying to penetrate through let's say our urban environment, like in the way we think, right? And I include myself because it took me a while to get to that place of understanding what it takes to restore balance, and that it's right there, accessible to us in our parks, right? But with the tree specifically, and the benefits that come from establishing a relationship to a tree.
And that's the idea of the play, that people become aware of it, right? That there's a value on it, and that we have to protect it. And that talks about the play, because in the play says that the forest is threatened to be, erased, destroyed, and then Millie, the protagonist, becomes an ally of the forest. So they both, at the end, the tree and the young girl become allies to protect each other. And she really learns the value of the trees, and that she will go to her community and be the voice of the forest.
Yeah, and so Millie, who wasn't really familiar with the importance of the tree, and then you have the baby tree, with the little girl, the 10-year-old, ay Dios mío, que chulería. And then you have I know cumbia is originally from Colombia, but for me, it almost loaned itself to like indigenous sounds.
That's the reason we selected that because it comes from Afro-Caribbean, music in Colombia, the cumbia, and that's and it also is very live music. It's happy music. It's not a down. I wanted the people to understand the message, but at the same time to have a good time. So, oh yes, dance, music, love.
Love, yes, and humanity, right? And humanity towards each other, because really, the earth is our home.
And we have to protect it, right? We have to acknowledge that we're part of the earth, right?
Yes.
And sometimes we go in our things, especially in New York, we're always running. So why don't stop and look at a tree in a different way? And that's the way that I think I would like people to leave the theater with that feeling, right? And we're going to have also an exhibit by Hector Marin of trees that he has painted, for the exhibit for the performances, which he's watercolors, a lot of trees that he has painted for the exhibit.
That's beautiful. So talk to us a little bit about this Carnegie Hall Nuestro Unidos.
Yeah, it's a festival that Carnegie Hall does every year. And we just are being invited. They send an invitation, and I send a proposal of the play, and they say, yes, I think it's something that can work for us, even though it's theater, but it has music. So that's why the reason they said, yes, I think that will fit very well our festival.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And then, of course, this is a family affair.
Yeah, it's a family affair. Like I said before, 5 years old to 80, that was the range of our audience when we presented before.
And I understand you're still also going to keep the panel discussion afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because I remember it was facilitated by somebody who is a heavy meditator, and I loved listening to everything that was shared, even from the younger individuals who were on the panel.
Yes, the two actresses were in the panel, and myself, and it was wonderful because people could express themselves how they feel about trees, how they feel about nature, and their experiences with trees. And it was fascinating because I didn't expect some of the things that the audience said at the end, that they really understood the message of the play, and they wanted, like Mirta said, you're going to have to be a tree hugger when you leave the theater. And that's the hope, right? It's more than a hug, it's like embracing nature. And transforming ourselves through the experience.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm excited, and in awe that we're all operating on that same frequency, because I'm a tree hugger, so I understand the value of it. And so the more of us that understand that that we coexist, and that nature's always going to be here. You know what I mean?
Yes. And that's what I want the audience to come and really, experience the production, experience the play, experience the actors, experience the message of it. So we're putting a lot of the effort, and we're going to be at the Clemente, at La Tea Theater in the Lower East Side, and very accessible. So that's the theater that we're using for our presentation.
Wonderful, and that's where I experienced it, and we thank you so much for coming all the way up here to the Bronx to share it with our Bronx folks. I mean, it's here in Manhattan, it's accessible. It's definitely a show I highly recommend everybody go see. I certainly enjoyed it, and the thing I left with most was this sense of collective healing. Yeah, and we need that.
We got it. You
Yeah,
got it.
yeah,
You
yeah.
got it.
Gloria, Zelaya, everybody. And once again, my friend the trees. My friend the tree, she is the my friend the tree writer and director, but my friend the tree itself is happening on Saturday, May 24th and Sunday, May 25th at Latea Theater, which is located at 107 Suffolk Street in Manhattan. And for tickets, you can visit Eventbrite/My Friend the Tree. It's a family affair, and like I said, we all need healing, so why not do it in theater? All right, stay tuned. Our Open Artist Spotlight is coming up next.